Iowa's News Now Sports has your all-access pass to all things Hawkeyes. This is Eye on the Hawks, sponsored by Dupaco Community Credit Union and Pin Seekers.
He's been a really good guy, and he also has like the biggest neck I've ever seen, which is really cool. If you guys have ever seen him from behind, have you guys seen him at all in person? What'd you see his neck? You gotta check out his neck. It's impressive. It looks sweet. It's awesome. I wish I had a neck like that. Maybe someday.
Our biggest development over the summer, Bryce George, Ferris State transfer, big neck. Thank you to Jennings Dunker for the insight earlier this summer. Welcome back 2.5 months later on Eye on the Hawks. Mitch Vick, Owen Sebring, and Mike Howell here. And as you heard in the open, now sponsored Eye on the Hawks is by Dupaco Community Credit Union and Pin Seekers out of Tiffin. Very excited to have them on board as we fully close the chapter on year 2 of Eye on the Hawks and get ready for year 3. A lot of exciting things to come. As always, you can follow us on the Iowa's News Now YouTube channel. If you're watching us live, thank you. This is maybe the last episode. We're going to be showing a lot of stuff from 23 and 24. So if you want to get into the archive highlights here, head on over to the YouTube channel where we're always streaming these episodes. Otherwise, you can follow us at Eye on the Hawks on X/Twitter and the Iowa's News Now Instagram page. We've got a lot of reels there too, Mike.
Guess which number of episodes this is today? Overall, this is our 3rd season.
Pushing like 160, I thought I saw, or something.
Not as much, not as high.
150.
128 is today.
128, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I saw. We had different streams under the Eye on. There's an Eye on the Hawks. Like, is it a playlist on the YouTube?
It's a playlist. Some of those in the beginning we would put the availability.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So the actual podcast episode's 128.
There's a lot of content.
That includes like post NCAA tournament games where I'm like just FaceTiming in with a phone call with me and you.
That if I put it up on Megaphone, which is what sends it out to Spotify and all those places, it does count. Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Podcasting sure is easy, guys.
Yeah.
Time really flies by.
Yeah, just flew through it, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about after 2 years. Today, we're going to talk a little basketball, of course. We're in year 1 of the Ben McCollum era. A lot of new faces, obviously, to catch up with. You might notice them from Drake or other places. Year 2 of Jan Jensen, a lot of new faces there. Some returners as well, so we'll talk a little hoops. But really, kind of putting a bow on our 2 years of football coverage. You're going to look back at our favorite games, our favorite plays and shots that we've had on the sidelines there at Kinnick and on the road, and just our favorite non-game moments, things away from the play that have really inspired us, or just, those really feel-good moments, or some, bittersweet moments at times too. And then we got to audit ourselves. Best takes and worst takes. We'll look back on those. But again, at the end of this, tied into the new sponsorship with Dupaco and Pin Seekers, at the end of the show, special tease of what's coming. Before we start coverage for the 2025 season, there will be a new environment for this new era of Eye on the Hawks that we're excited to talk about there. But first, we're going to tee things off with Pin Seekers, new sponsored segment. They're going to take care of our first segment of every show, and it's just a simple question. How's your summer, guys? I feel like we haven't been in the same room a ton the last couple months. You've had time off. I've had time off. Mike is super plugged into RAGBRAI training right now, so you've got a week coming off here later this month, and how's that going?
It's basically been, I've been anxious for the past month because I don't think I've done enough training. The highest I've gone is 50 miles, which we did last Saturday.
That's a lot of miles.
And I felt fine the next day, but it's like first day is 72, next day is 42, third day is 74. Those first 3 days, probably gonna kick my butt, but it's gonna be an experience. I keep telling myself that I see like people who aren't in good shape do RAGBRAI, which not saying anything, but I feel like I'm in decent shape, so I feel like I should be able to do it. Also, when you're on it, you could, if you're not feeling well, you can take the sag wagon for the rest of the way. So it's not, it's a ride, it's not a race, so it's not cheating, but I hope to do the whole 410 miles, whatever.
I'm not plugged into RAGBRAI culture enough. So is that why that place in Cedar Rapids is named Sag Wagon? Is it named after something on RAGBRAI?
I think sag wagon, I don't know if that's a specific RAGBRAI term, but it's like, that's the wagon that picks you up if you're sagging, I guess. I don't know if that's the terminology or the reason it's named that.
Wagon's a sagging.
There you go.
Don't come a ragging.
Boy, just like that. According to Google's AI, a sag wagon, also known as a broom wagon or support and gear vehicle, SAGs, so it's an acronym. Sport vehicle that follows cyclists, particularly on long rides or organized events, carrying supplies, offering mechanical assistance, and picking up riders who cannot continue. So the term SAG is slang and can also stand for support and gear.
Oh, okay, it's an acronym.
It's not going to be our guy. Our guy, Mike, he's going all, what'd you say it is, 420 or something?
I think it's 410.
410?
I don't ask
Almost
this
420.
facetiously because Ragbri is also known as a big statewide party. Is there any sort of imbibing training you have to do for this?
I think I generally, like the life I live is that training.
Wow.
I will say, though, that if I'm riding 72 miles, I don't think I'm going to want to pound beers, but I guess we'll see.
I've never, the folks that like want to pound like a 2-hearted or something like that, or some like big craft beer, an IPA, I'm like, no, like it's the last thing I'd want to do after any sort of like long sweating environment or anything like that. I don't know. How's your run streak going? You've got to be going crazy.
Yeah, gosh, what am I at now? 500 and probably getting to 550, 60, something like that. So running at least a mile every day for last year and a half.
No treadmills.
Oh
no.
We had to break down and go for 2 treadmill runs recently, and we had a good reason why. I know maybe you were the only ones who heard this story, but I was down in South America recently, and when I got down there, I was flying in, and my check bags did not arrive with me, and so I had all my running gear in the bag, and so I'm like, my only options were basically like to run either in my sandals that I travel in, like outside, with just like no shirt on and like the shorts that I like walk around in, or barefoot run on a treadmill. And so I'm like, I guess I'm going for a barefoot treadmill run. So just like
gets the job done, huh?
What's that?
Got the job done.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, 2 days in a row I had to do it because my bags didn't arrive for like 48, 60 hours or something like that. So I had to do a couple of treadmill runs. But yeah, I've been getting outside a lot. Haven't been doing much traveling. Summer's going great. I cut myself shaving this morning, so that's put a damper on things. But we power through. We persevere, just like the Hawkeyes. Gotta work through the pain.
You're overcoming a lot there.
But yeah, we're excited about all the high school ventures we have coming up. We've got a lot of trips over to Fort Dodge and Carroll and Sioux City coming next week.
Yeah, we're getting ready. It's Wednesday again. Friday's Soul and Beef Days. Got the hay bale toss. We're going to be live streaming that like we did last year. Jennings Dunker, who you heard from the top of the show, sounds like he's not going to throw again. He's a 2-time champ. He's got nothing else to prove. He said he'll be in Cade Pieper's corner as Cade goes for back-to-back. Sounds like Leighton Jones will be out there again. Talked about maybe Bryce George, a newcomer, maybe enters the race. We'll see if Lucas Allgaier, who's an early enrollee freshman, who's a hoss of a human, will be out there. And I believe Cale Winter was, I think, maybe in the semifinals, down to the final 3 or 4 last year as well. So it'll be
Mark Gronowski will be there.
Mark Gronowski
probably not throwing though, right?
Well. He's been anywhere and everywhere. But tell you what, Mark Gronowski, heck of a golfer. He was one of the 20-plus current players and 40-plus current and former Hawkeye players at Micah Heights Golf Outing at Finkbine last Friday. They had a closest to the pin putting competition just before they all teed off on the course itself. Put it within like 3 or 4 inches. Won himself a nice bottle of something, and then saw him on 13, the infamous par 3 that goes over the water there. Stuck it right on the green. So
You know who's not a good golfer, and not to throw you under the bus, Owen, but
Owen Sebring's not a good golfer.
So I just wanted to transition to tease what we're working on next week. So with Pin Seekers, we're teeing up the season with 4 Hawkeye football players who were generous enough to come out and talk to us. Aaron Graves, Drew Stevens, Caden Weegan, and Hayden Large all spoke with Owen for about 15, 20 minutes. We're editing them right now, just kind of trying to get a more personal conversation / throw some football questions in there too. And they were just at a suite at Pin Seekers hitting some balls. So we're going to have that 2 episodes next week on YouTube and then 2 the next week. So, but didn't mean to throw you on the bus. He was asking for swing tips.
It's true. Yeah, listen, like I've straight up been on a golf course golfing like twice in my life.
Oh, wow.
So like I don't know the game. I will say it's like, I had a few shots that like were like good shots, and I'm like, man, it is a satisfying feeling when you like.
That's how they get you. That's how golf gets you.
You chase that feeling for years, yeah.
But it's tough. Yeah, Caden Weegan, I think, is in the running for best golfer on the team. I think he's pretty high up there, and he had a lot of good drives out there.
A lot of rounds at Stone Creek in Williamsburg.
He had some good tips. Large actually came in, and he was giving me some good advice. So like, if you're not even a Hawkeye fan, like, just tune in for some golf tips from Hayden Large and Aaron Graves. It's a great time. So yeah, great conversations with those guys. Like perfect scenario for them to really open up. It's like, I've never heard these guys talk so much in my life just because we see them every week and they're on camera. They're like, who do I look at? How do I stand? But like going out there golfing, the cameras are off to the side and it's just like they just opened up about everything. So they're great conversations.
Yeah, thanks for Pin Seekers for letting us do that. And they were the ones that facilitated the players that were able to do that. So.
Yeah, and you've got all the summer interviews we've done in those situations where maybe they're just trying to figure out what camera to look at or who's asking questions. We do have all that up on the Iowa's News Now YouTube channel as well. All those football conversations where, you know, in the summer you're talking about conditioning and things from last year, and you're trying to find the topics to talk about. We found a few, especially with Gronowski. There's tons of conversations with Mark just about who he is and what he brings to the table, and certainly a lot to talk about as we get into August and September and into the season about what number 11 is bringing to the black and gold in 2025. Also have all the conversations up there from the men's and women's basketball teams as we check in with year one of the Ben McCollum era, all the pomp and circumstance of him coming in as a Hawkeye fan from childhood, now in charge of the program he grew up cheering for and loving. You've been to practices, Owen. You're getting to know these players, whether they come from Drake or Kansas State or Robert Morris and anywhere in between. Mike, maybe this is a question for you as well. Have your expectations risen as that roster's been put together? Because we had an idea that there were going to be a lot of guys, Bennett Sturts and company, coming from Drake, and these Bulldogs were going to be Hawkeyes now. As you see the roster, and we're still months out from hopefully like maybe a Midnight Madness thing. I think we're all kind of knocking on wood that that'd be a really cool thing to have. Student sections closer.
Yeah.
Are you still kind of the same expectations, or are you starting to grow in your confidence? And you've seen a little bit, Owen. What have you seen from the team?
You know, frankly, I guess I'd say I'm still similar to where I was at before with them. I think that they're going to be a good competitive team. I don't think they're going to be competing for a Big Ten title this year, frankly. I think that it's a roster built with a lot of mid-major guys, obviously, a lot of kids coming over from Drake. Bennett Sturt's obviously very good. I think Cam Manyao is going to be really good. They've got Brendan Hausen coming from Kansas State, so that's another like at least power 4 player. But it's a lot of guys who are still, I still feel like they are building towards something. And so I think this is a team that finishes maybe somewhere in the 6, 7, 8 range in the Big Ten this year, which is like, again.
That would solidly put them in the tournament.
And yeah, in the new Big Ten, that's a respectable spot to finish in the Big Ten. And so that's going to put them in the NCAA tournament. So I think for sure they're like solid contender for a tournament team, but that might be about their ceiling right now. Yeah,
so I think it's been like kind of a roller coaster. Like when McCollum got hired, and then I think a week later, or within the week, we heard Sturts was coming. It was like we're on high. And then I think there were a lot of, I was keeping track on one of the recruiting guys, all the guys they reached out to, who they offered and who visited and stuff. And I thought there were a few misses that, you know, would have solidified my expectations high. So then it went down. But then I think getting Alvaro Folgueras from Robert Morris, getting switching a couple commitments, Trey Thompson, who just committed to Iowa, reclassified, and he was getting heavily recruited by like Tennessee and Purdue. Those are some wild cards though, because I think him, Urach, is that how you say it?
Yes.
From Valley, I think, who looked pretty good at practice. I've seen some videos.
They really like this guy. Every player we asked, he's really shown out this summer. Urach's, it's one of those two. It's a Y start. Anyway, Trevin Urach's name keeps coming up among guys who are impressed by him.
So those two players, and there's a couple other that are like, they're young, obviously coming in out of high school, and then Trey's actually was supposed to be a senior this year. Mm-hmm. Can they like contribute in the Big Ten this year, or is it a project? If it's a project, it's still fine, but if they can come compete too, then maybe my expectations come a little higher. I actually, full disclosure, just bought tickets yesterday, season tickets for men's basketball for the first time ever. So I'm excited for the season. I don't know if 6 seems a little high, but I wouldn't be surprised if McCollum has them going. I think they could maybe go in that top 5, but I'd be satisfied anything in the middle of the pack. With the tournament, it's kind of interesting because I've read that they might still expand the tournament this coming season to 72 or 76, which would make it easier for Big Ten and SEC schools to get in.
Yeah.
So I mean, that would obviously help their chances. I really don't want that to happen, but,
It's crazy. I heard Tony Kornheiser make this point the other day on PTI. He was like, if you continually try to screw something up, eventually you will succeed. And that's his take on the NCAA with the tournament right now. He's like, no fan wants this. Everybody loves the tournament where it's at right now, but the NCAA seems hell-bent on screwing it up, and they're bound to do so eventually. So,
coaches want it because it's in their contract to make the tournament, and I think ADs want it because,
It's in their contract.
It's in their contract. It's all good for the business.
Please think of the people that matter.
But I did read the other side that, with more teams, each team will get a less, less money on the cut. So there's a double-edged sword there.
Yeah. I do. Just a couple of names I think people should watch out for. I mean, we're still so far away from knowing this, like a starting five for this team. It's like really interesting to speculate. Sturtz is, the one obvious choice for a starting lineup. I think Maniau is a pretty clear-cut starter.
Fulgaris will probably start too.
I was going to say Fulgaris is a guy that, like, just seeing his tape from Robert Morris, I'm like, gosh, this guy looks really good.
He's been doing really well at U20 Euro basketball right now, playing for Spain the last couple of days too.
And you think that Hausen, right, just with how his experience?
Yesterday, people were talking about him a lot, that just like he was not missing three-pointers. Like, he's just going to be, I think, a crazy sniper. So Hausen, I think, is good contender to be a starter. And then, I don't know if Urock would be ready as a freshman that was just not long ago committed to UNI. But yeah, I think they've got some good chances for some stars. So interesting team, just a lot of question marks, and we'll know in a few months.
Well, Ben McCollum trying to get the Hawkeyes back to the NCAA tournament. Jan Jensen's squad on the other side went to the NCAAs last year, bowed out earlier than they have the last couple of years when you had transformative senior classes and an all-star international sensation in Caitlin Clark. A few more losses to the roster this year. Addie O'Grady is gone. AJ Ediger has graduated. Lucy Olson, one and done, and a great impact she had for the Hawks, and now doing some really nice things for the Washington Mystics. Sydney Falter still around on the bench as a grad assistant, and you get Kylie Feuerbach back for another year. You've got some transfers coming in, like Emily Rodriguez out of UCF. You've got Chit Chat coming in. You've got Addie Deal leading a freshman class. It's very intriguing. What are our expectations for what year two of the Jensen era brings when you've got some established seniority, some new faces, some young faces? It's a very intriguing roster.
It's just crazy. I talked about this with you guys the other day, but just how different this team looks from where they were just 2 years ago when they made the national championship game. It's like almost zero of the same faces are on the same team. It's like you've got Kylie Feuerbach, and that's pretty much it. I mean, who else? I mean, Kenise Johnson was technically Stilke, of course, yes. Kenise Johnson technically was there, but just so many young faces. I mean, this next group is so filled with freshmen and sophomores, and those are going to be most of the contributors, again, outside of like Stolke especially and Kylie. Like, just a young team, but a lot of promise. I think I'm most excited about seeing the post play for this team this coming year. That's been where they've had some weak spots these last few seasons, and I think that both their post players, Ava Hayden and Layla Hayes, just from what we've seen out of her in practice, who's a freshman coming in from Alaska, like, they look good. Like, they look really ready to play in the Big Ten and compete.
Ava at the end of last season, I mean,
she was turning
really
it on.
She played really well, and it's been a while since Iowa's really had some size, that could impact the game, and it's all going to impact on these young players, and if they develop, and like other programs do when they bring in high recruits, they perform instantly, and it doesn't make or break your career if you don't do it, but it would be it heightens the ceiling.
Just looking through the lineup, it's like you got Hayes and Hayden, I think, swapping out the 5. You got Stolke at the 4. At the is Feuerbach a 3 or 2 more so? She's more 2.
I think she plays 3.
3, okay.
Yeah, Addie, a little bit of everything. Yeah.
Addie Deal running the point. Taylor McCabe going to be one of the best 3-point shooters in the country, I think, this next year. Like, solid starting lineup. I mean, again, when we're talking about where this team could contend this next year, I mean, I think they have a shot to be a top 3 team in the Big Ten coming up. I mean, I know they're young, but I think that with the talent they have coming in, that's going to be a really solid roster. Even some of the transfers, like Emily Rodriguez, like, she's really wowed some people when they see her in practice. Like, she's a shooter. She's big. She's strong. She can drive the lane. Like, she's good. They got a great roster coming up.
It is an interesting era. We talked about this a little bit in the sports office yesterday. More so on the men's side than the women's. New faces on the women's side with the transfer portal, but some people who are outside the fandom realm will talk about people and their fanatic obsession with sports teams and say, "Oh, you're just rooting for laundry. It's just it's a shirt and a jersey or whatever." There are so many new faces. I mean, it's not last year's team at all. It's Cooper Koch, and here's all these new faces, and it's I'm fascinated with just how fans connect with this team beyond just they have black and gold on, and I think the expectation is they will be more successful than Franz last year going into Ben's first year. But just that's the way of the world in the transfer portal era, particularly in basketball when the rosters are so much smaller that in 1 year, the entire look of a roster, the entire personnel can change so quickly that you are, well, they're Hawkeyes, so we root for them.
we
you,
like
don't,
them
you don't
now.
have any more,
now.
they're not developed talent, not players you've been following since freshman year. But hey, like at this point, there was such apathy, I think, for lack of a better word, for the men's team. We're just like, all right, we know what we're getting with Fran squad. They're going to put up a bunch of points. The defense, you're going to wish there was something, but okay, you wanted a new era. Here's everything new, and I'm interested to see how people engage with this team. And Ben McCollum's been anywhere and everywhere talking to folks about the squad. So it's been an intriguing, fun thing to see how Iowa has handled this new era of, you want newness and you want to flip the switch on something. Okay, we're flipping everything and it's brand new across the board. The only thing familiar is the jersey.
It's so funny though. Like when I was a student in Todd Licklider's first during his whole career, I guess his first year I was a senior in high school, but I remember saying like, if Iowa could just score a lot of points, I don't care if they win. And now 15 years later, I'm like, man, if they can just play hard on defense and get rebounds, I think Carver will be rocking.
It's going to be fun. The little things like the student section getting a little closer. And we have no idea if this is going to happen, but boy, you'd love to have some sort of midnight event. There's nothing like expectation and anticipation of what this team could be, what the era could be. I think if you had some sort of event like that, man, you'd get a big crowd showing up late at night at Carver to celebrate the start of a new era. So that's going to be fun to see as we get closer. It's mid-July after all. We are wrapping up, I guess, kind of an era, the first 2 years of Eye on the Hawks as we get into the sponsorship side. And, KF always talks about year 3 is when guys start to get it. They start clicking. That's our hope with Eye on the Hawks. As we get into this third year of the podcast, hopefully learning from stumbles and pitfalls and growth the first 2 years as we get into year 3. Let's close the chapter on these first 2 years. We're going to go through now. We got, like I said, maybe the last time you see a lot of these highlights as we move into 2025. We have gone through all of our favorites over these last 2 years, 23 and 24. Our favorite game, we've all gone through and picked our favorite game. We'll talk about that a little bit. Our favorite plays/shots. Again, Owen and I and Mike for a couple games have been on there on the field. It might not be the most impactful play, but did we get there are a few things more satisfying as a videographer or photographer when you just nail a shot, perfectly framed. It's a cool thing that comes right to you. So we're going to list those off. We've each got 4 favorite plays or shots. We've also got 4, each of us, favorite non-game moments, something away from the ball, just a cool thing where there was on the field, off the field, an interaction, maybe a rogue mascot of some kind. I think both of you have that on yours, but we'll get into those as well. And then again, we'll audit ourselves, our best takes, our worst takes. We'll look back at one of those each as we look back and close the book on these first 2 years of Eye on the Hawks. Mike, I think you've got everything.
Yeah, we got Mitch.
up
You're up
ready.
first for the first game, favorite game.
I'm doing favorite game first? Yeah. Okay, so.
Can we just start playing it?
No, I'll have a little intro, I suppose. I'm not ready yet. You go through and you think, well, what's the best win or most important win? And I think you guys have some of those covered in your picks. I thought about this as which of these games over the last 2 years has Iowa just hit their stride on every single phase, a dominant performance? What's been the closest they've been to 2017 Ohio State? Maybe not that caliber of opponent. Ohio State came in and they were world beaters and an Urban Meyer team, but I thought, is there a game that Iowa just rolled out and kind of did what they wanted to do? And last year against Wisconsin, 42-10 against the Badgers, felt like the quintessential Iowa victory in the Eye on the Hawks era. 329 yards rushing, just dominant, and I love that shot in the rain of the trophy. Brendan Sullivan making his first start. He had plugged in the week before against Northwestern. Made plays like this, just an electricity from the quarterback position we haven't seen since at least C.J. Beathard. You could say even beyond that, just very different stuff. He threw 10 passes. More than half of his yards came on a late one to Zach Ortworth. He had Deshaun Lee with his first career interception. Nick Jackson had his first interception. And this was just a game, and Caleb got his too because it was Caleb. It just felt like stepping on the throat of a team that you get those 15-6 games or those Big Ten West throwback battles. How often do you beat the Badgers by 32 and have 4 guys go for 50 yards rushing, 2 go over 75 yards. It was just such a fun game to be a part of to start November. And boy, they were 6-3, and you thought, man, Iowa found their quarterback. Brendan was going to be something spectacular. Obviously, UCLA happened. He got banged up, but that was just such a fun game to shoot, be a part of. And again, when you can take home the Heartland Trophy and really demoralize arguably your biggest rival, one of your biggest rivals that's so historic, that's just a great feeling.
Weather wasn't bad.
It was great weather, fantastic weather. We'll take that.
My friend Rob got married that night. I was there.
Awesome.
In the
Wait, you
wedding.
did?
What?
Who got married?
My friend Rob.
Oh, okay.
Congrats to
I
Rob.
call him Rod, but I figured I'd use his real name on the pod.
Cool.
When you are next.
Sure. So my favorite game was one that Mike and I.
Road trip.
Yeah, Mike and I enjoyed this together. This was 2023 Iowa at Nebraska. It was a game that, like, weather was not so great.
You did not enjoy being there in the freezing cold.
But I am on the record as just hating Nebraska, hating their fans, hating the school, hating the team. Just
How do you really feel?
I want Nebraska to lose at everything all of the time. And so going over there, getting a chance to, like, see the glimmer of hope in the Nebraska fans' eyes as they thought that they were going to beat Iowa. And then on that last drive when they have the Herkett interception and then the big run and then Marshall Meter coming in for his one and only
So close.
career kick as a Hawkeye. He comes in, hits a game-winning field goal. Like, just the storylines were incredible. The atmosphere was incredible.
Got to beat a Purdy at quarterback.
Yeah, that's right. The atmosphere after the game, carrying Marshall Meter off the field on their shoulders, like, just everything about that game was great. Not a real fun drive home. I was, we get to about Winterset, and I'm falling asleep. I had to have Mike take over on the drive, but just a really fun night. And, there's no better way to spend the day after Thanksgiving than going and breaking some Nebraska fans' hearts.
This was the game where I thought I was prepared for the cold, but the wind at a Memorial Stadium was just something else. But I think I had like 2 socks on, boots, 3 shirts on, a sweatshirt, my Carhartt, and it just wasn't enough. But, I mean, it was an awesome time to be there, though.
Yeah, it was great.
So that leaves me with my favorite game. And this, this is going to be the 23 Illinois game that clinched the Big Ten West. And, half of it is that the game was close. There was a big play to essentially end it with Caleb Johnson, kind of a year before his breakout year. But I also was there with my friends, Patrick and Kevin, and his husband and some other friends, which was just an amazing time. It was a night game. You always got to love night games. It wasn't too bad weather-wise. It was, what was it, early November, but it was kind of a nice day. So, I just thought it was, one of those days where you don't forget.
What's right with the world.
Yeah, and the game was pretty darn good. And that run, I think it's coming up here, from Caleb Johnson that sealed it. Iowa couldn't do anything on offense. Deacon Hill was, the quarterback at the time, and Coop. That was the week Coop got hurt, right?
Yeah, he broke his leg that week.
And this run just sealed it.
It is. Great shot from Owen here.
So.
Yeah, and that's, talk about setting the 2 weeks before that, Northwestern at Wrigley, Caleb Johnson doesn't get a snap. And then he wins the Big Ten West there. Another great shot. You had 2 great shots of those touchdowns there. Ostrenga reminds you that Iowa only had 1 receiving touchdown by a tight end last year. That was 2023, but Ostrenga was the one who had that little toss from Sully I believe, against Troy. Yeah, right? But we'll see what happens here in 2025. But yeah, those are our favorite games. You can't go wrong with any of those 3. I mean, those were super fun games, whether it was a blowout or win in the West, or anytime you can go into Lincoln and win and walk off with a field goal, which is now becoming just a pattern in the Heroes Trophy battle. You'll take it every single time. All right, favorite plays and shots. I think we've got a nice variety here. Again, each of us has 4. I think these are mostly in chronological order. Who are we going to have start these lists?
It's my stuff first.
All right,
yeah,
go
I'll
ahead.
go first. Couldn't talk there for a second. All right, so I threw Cade McNamara to Seth Anderson in 2023. And I add this because for a brief moment,
The world was our
we thought
oyster.
Iowa offense was back.
It was the second
was like-
snap of offense.
I was walking over to you guys. Hey guys, he's the real deal. Obviously, they didn't turn out to be, but it was an awesome moment nonetheless. Although every time I watch it, I'm like, did he put it on the ground
Don't
too
worry
hard?
about it. Don't worry
Wow,
about it.
really? I didn't realize that.
So then I put LaShawn Williams in 23. That long, I can't remember exactly how long it was, but against Wisconsin, the touchdown run.
75 something?
No, it was 80-some.
That
was it? Okay.
It was the longest offensive play for Iowa since Beathard to Von Smith in the title game in 2015.
and that was the difference in the game.
83. Yeah. Hey, again, that was a game that needed a long
One
one.
touchdown.
So that play was electric.
82 yards was it?
We already just saw this, but KJ against Illinois in 23.
Good enough to see twice.
A lot of these are, from 23, even though the offense was not, something to
They
remember.
had those big haymaker plays, didn't they?
A few, yeah. And
Great
I
celebrations.
can't remember what my fourth one was. I think it was from last year. Oh, I think we probably all had this one.
I do love these
Just
times
enjoy
where I
the
just get up and walk over to the celebration. All right, let me
Yep.
get in on this.
Hey, we've been there. And then,
Caleb
what else?
Johnson's touchdown against Nebraska this past year.
Good one.
That's hands down the best play of the last 2 years.
It's
And I always say too that my shot of this, I was really thankful to be in a good spot for it, but it's like it doesn't do it justice. It's one of those that like you need the TV angle almost to appreciate
sure.
like how good of a play that was.
Yeah, I was along the sideline there, so I didn't get KJ in frame until like he was on the Nebraska 40. I'm like, oh, he's still going, yeah, but that's as Superman of a play as you're ever going to see in theaters now. Mike saw it; it's a great movie.
So a couple of the reasons I picked those for, I think there was 2 or 3 plays that I was like, I think we're all going to pick this, so I didn't go. I can already see Owens up next. His first play that's on there is one I was like, I know one of you guys is going to pick it, so I avoided it.
Yeah,
so Owen,
voted
there you go.
Had to. I mean, what are we seeing here first?
They're in chronological order.
They're playing Michigan State.
Chronological order, okay,
Michigan
so-
State's punting, and it's 2023.
So we've got Cooper DeJean back there lined up. I mean, the Cooper DeJean storyline, I talk about it ad nauseum, maybe too much. It is like just having known this kid for so long, playing since he was like an underclassman in high school and getting a chance to cover him very closely. It's like every time this kid does something big, it like, just helps my heart a little bit seeing him succeed at the next level now and scoring a touchdown in the Super Bowl. That was great. Wrigley Field, covering a game at Wrigley was just an awesome experience for me, really fun moment, and the goal line stand there, which they needed to win that game, that was such a cool moment, and they were digging divots out of the
Forgot about the
2-yard
divots until I
line.
went through the video.
Wasn't a face mask.
It was just a sweet moment for that defense. They loved it, and that too was just necessary to be able to scrape out was that a 10-7 game or something like that?
Yeah, 10-7. Drew Stevens.
This is Marshall Meter's kick. We just saw this one, but
So close every time. It's so close every time.
yeah, just perfect moment for a guy that he gets to have one Hawkeye moment in his career, and it's one of the biggest moments that Hawkeye fans are going to remember forever. Love that for Marshall Meter, kid who came to Iowa, weeks before the season started, gets to end the year getting carried off on his teammates' shoulders. And then, of course, doesn't hurt to throw another game-winning kick against Nebraska in there. Drew Stevens this last year. I was sick as a dog during this game, just miserable, sitting on the sideline. Oh, get me out of here. And then Drew Stevens does that, breaks Nebraska's hearts again, and here he goes off the field.
Drew Stevens, one of the guys you got to golf with at Pinseekers.
Yeah.
He's such a fun kid to talk to.
Yeah, he's
such a fun kid.
Introspective, thoughtful. He's very, he was making
We had to edit out some choice words, though.
he was making interstellar references.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm on board with this kid.
He's
for
an
sure.
interesting guy.
Marshall Meter has like a folk hero feeling to him, right? Of just like guy who rides into town, does one thing, gets out, but he's a hero. It's just such a cool story. I'm fascinated by it.
I remember when I posted the video that night of the game, I said he plays one play and gets to be a Hawkeye legend, and but there were a few people that replied like, oh, what, one play makes you a legend, blah, 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 and I'm like, kinda. This is absolutely one of the most memorable plays in Hawkeye football history, for sure. So I guess, no, he didn't do a single other thing for the Hawkeyes, but just that one moment is enough to make him something of, like you say, a folk hero.
One is all you need. Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of plays that should be, and in my opinion, in the vacuum, can still be the greatest of all time, I don't care what his arm did. And again, this is why I kind of said plays/shots, because I couldn't have shot this
you threw the
better.
shot
It
in
came
there
right
just
to
to
me.
get it.
Cooper DeJean against Minnesota. There's a timeline that exists where Iowa goes into the bye week 7-1. Cooper's a Heisman candidate, and I can live off this shot for the rest of my career. It was just perfect that he was in the corner I went to. We get the celebration. Just in the vacuum, that is still an all-timer for me.
The unis are great.
2023 Rutgers. Again, it's a late pick in a game that was already in hand, but Quinn Schulte, his first home pick at Kinnick Stadium, the Xavier kid, my alma mater. And it's just as much about this celebration as well. You didn't see Cooper really celebrate the punt return, but you see him go giddy with everybody else, and just kind of an example of what Quinn meant to this team. And again, those walk-ons that grind so hard to find their spot was just so cool to have that moment there. Caleb Johnson, you could have chosen any runs. You guys, Mike, you took Nebraska. I love the stiff arm, the spin move, and the stiff arm again.
This was a good run, yeah.
And in the first half against Northwestern.
I was at that game.
Great angle I was able to have on that, and just kind of the quintessential Caleb Johnson play. You saw his speed, his finesse, his agility, and his vision all kind of come together there, and you know.
And you had every single game, it seemed like Caleb was coming to you.
I was very fortunate. And then maybe the quintessential Brendan Sullivan play against Missouri. If he scores this, it's a legendary run. But you kind of got everything with Brendan Sullivan here against Missouri in the Music City Bowl. He gets knocked there at like the 6-inch line. Would have been incredible if he scored, but you know, he rolls to the left. If you watch the TV broadcast, there might have been like an open tight end or something, but then he brings it all the way back, and you're like, holy cow. And I'm sitting there at the goal line going, he's going to score, like what? And then he gets knocked, and you go, oh no. And you saw kind of if you freeze it and zoom in a bit, there's a little Aaron Rodgers when he had his helmet like halfway up off his face a couple of years ago, that meme. Had a little bit of that with Sully, but that was just the last like really electric play we had with him. The second half obviously didn't go the way anybody wanted to. But in a season where Iowa just needed that spark, and in a time where you just, again, haven't seen that kind of electricity from a quarterback at Iowa, boy, Sully, time and time again, was able to make those feet just do some pretty amazing things. And that was, even without the score, was a really, really cool play. And again, just I was fortunate enough to be in the right spot, to have a cool angle.
Yeah, and I mean, when you asked for these, you said favorite plays / shots, and it's like, I'm not good at remembering shots, like who does what and who shoots what.
Sure.
Like, I shoot a lot of football in the fall. Among all college and high schools, there's a lot of games getting shot. So,
sure.
But yeah, I just shoot so many great shots. It's like hard to remember.
Well, you've got one of your favorite non-game moments is as beautifully shot of a sequence and scenario.
You're up first on this one.
So yeah, lead us in.
Okay, so favorite non-game moments listing 4. So this was when they have the Hawk come down pregame.
Western Michigan 2023.
Hawk goes rogue. Like the Hawk is just like, you know what? This season needs something special. I got to help kick this thing.
A couple times I thought he was going to attack a fan.
It might be right up there with some of the flyovers, just like the most polarizing pregame moment where like, what is this thing going to do?
It's already one of the most kick-ass moments that they have the Hawk come from up in the press box down to the field. Like that rules so hard. And so the fact that the Hawk, everybody's watching it already, awesome. And then it goes crazy, lands on the Tiger Hawk at midfield, like, great moment. Love that.
For people who don't go to games very often, I'll say this later. Go ahead.
Okay.
Shooting at Wrigley.
Shooting at Wrigley I put on there just because it's like, I've actually never been to a baseball game at Wrigley Field, like never been over there, Cubs or whatever to me. But yeah, just getting a chance to cover that game in person and see Drew Stevens hit a game-winning field goal. The goal line stand we mentioned earlier, like just a really fun game and a fun moment. I was like out there with our colleague Jack Lido from KCRG over after the game. We were like the last ones leaving the field.
I didn't have a shot. You talked about Brian Ferentz hugging his kids before the Illinois game. This is in Indianapolis in 2023.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, that looks similar to it. But I don't know. There was something special about like that last Hawk walk, going over and seeing Brian hug his kids before his last home game at Kinnick Stadium. Like very emotional. The kids were crying. Brian was crying, and like a guy who, didn't have a lot of guys rooting for him in the Hawkeye fan base. Maybe that gets one last moment, and you could see how special the Hawkeyes were to him.
And you talked about just being able to connect with parents. We're showing here Brendan Sullivan after that first extended appearance against Northwestern. A lot of time with his family.
Yeah, I talk about just connecting with players' parents just because there is something special about that to me where, like, we get this in high school where we go and we're covering a team a lot. I've covered the Xavier softball team a lot, and I've gotten to know a few of the parents that just come up and say, thanks for covering the girls after a game. But, like, even the Hawkeyes, even this Power 5 team that is, like, good and goes to bowl games and they're going to play in the NFL, like, even there, the parents really care and they really appreciate our coverage of them. I was at the Michigan State game last year, and Cohen Intringer's dad, like, yells from the stands, like, hey, Owen, like, I ran some little story on Cohen. I don't think I even posted it on the website or anything. It just ran on our broadcast. I'm like, how did you see that? I don't even know how he watched it, but he appreciated it. Like, I've had a chance to talk to like Xavier Wampa's mom, and like there was I think at the bowl game that we were at in Florida, talked to like Drew Stevens' parents, and just getting to know the parents. You're like, oh, these are still just like kids who are having a good time, and they, even though they're on the biggest stage, they're playing nationally broadcast games, their parents still really love and appreciate the fact that we're out there doing interviews and talking to their kids and giving them exposure. I think we talked to Mason Richmond's. You've had some interactions with
Yeah,
with his parents,
John's
too.
a PGA pro down in Overland Park, Kansas.
Yeah, like these guys still appreciate it. They still love our coverage and love that we're out there putting in effort. And that does make it really worth it for us. Like, we do a lot of work there, and we don't know how much it's like actually seen or appreciated sometimes, but when the parents enjoy it, that really makes it worthwhile.
Especially the out-of-state parents. Meeting Lisa and Mel Gill, Jacob's parents, who are down in the
I
Carolinas.
tailgated then
It's
next to
really-
them in Michigan State.
They're the best. They're so fun to talk to.
So that's a great segue into my favorite moments, because we talked about going to the Nebraska game, and we mentioned it on here before, but I happened to just stumble upon
Maybe the
this
most famous
moment.
parent out of all the Hawkeye parents.
Yeah, Jay Higgins' dad was sitting there, and I saw him, so I was like, I'm just going to see what he's doing. My thumb's in the bottom left, you can see that. And Jay came over and hugged him after the Nebraska win in 23, and it was just a cool moment. The Big Ten Network did a story on these two the following week, and they used the video of this. So, yeah, just a super cool moment between those two, and I think Ray Higgins was, immortalized in Hawkeye fandom. This is what I was going to say earlier. One of my favorite moments, too, was this Hawk. I was chuckling about it for forever. If people haven't been to a game in a few years, and I don't think they do it anymore, but the Hawk usually flies right down to his carrier. So the fact that he's flying around, and it takes what feels like a minute, but it's probably closer to 20 seconds.
I mean, he was flying around like this for like 40 seconds of this video,
Yeah.
which is an eternity if you're waiting for him to land.
Yeah.
So
the Wrangler who's like, please do not attack a fan. Don't gouge out any eyeballs.
Insured? I don't know.
I just wanted to say, the amount of time he's flying around is not normal. And I love the Hawk. And, Tim Lester. One of the moments I put on there, I was kind of having a hard time. I was like, the acquisition of Tim Lester to this team, we saw it in year one with the rushing offense. The passing offense still one of the worst in the country. But as you see, bring Mark Gronowski in, can he evolve this offense into something that fans actually want to see? So that's why I wanted to put that there. I really do have faith that this year will be different in the passing game. But, we'll see in a few months. And then I put the Big Ten championship in 23, not for the game. More so, this is a selfish reason. Us three got to cover it, and everything leading up to the game was just super fun. It was an experience. I'd never been to a Big Ten conference championship game like that. I have for basketball on the tournament side, but just being there and covering it all and seeing everyone there excited. So once kickoff started, you can take it out. But
And who did you meet in the men's room?
Joey Chestnut was in. He was.
Cool. We don't have highlights of that.
Yeah, I went to the bathroom right by this where we just saw by the Iowa locker room, and I guess there's suites in the corner, and yeah, he came down probably about the fourth quarter, and I was like, oh my God, it's Joey Chestnut.
Jaws, baby.
It's always fun. I was there in 15 as well, covering Michigan State at the time, but just seeing Hawkeye fans travel, and it was so cool, even in a season where, they were 10-2, but folks were just like, this team doesn't score points, and there was, injuries abound and all that. It was still just Hawkeye fans swarming into Indy and having a great time. We had an extended conversation with Roy there. I think you talked to Christian Kirksey at the hotel there, and it was just, we had some Michigan fans blow up one of our live shots. I remember that. They yelled, "Go Blue," and what are you doing? What are we doing here? Live TV, super fun. I have another Brian Ferentz moment, one of my favorite moments. This was after after they got a first down to seal it up. Just Brian and Kirk having a hug on the sidelines, and just you can imagine the emotions, particularly for Kirk. I think was very emotional there against Illinois. And then Cohen Entringer, one of my favorite pregame things, discovering this over the past season, is Cohen reciting the entire Niall Kinnick Heisman acceptance speech. It's one of my favorite moments. I put a whole if you hear it there, put a culmination of that together on social media. I'll have Mike turn up the volume here too. Northwestern last year, when the crowd starts to figure out, that's number one in the huddle. Brendan Sullivan's going to run this offense now. Cade had been knocked out, and I'll let you listen here a little bit as they break the huddle. It was just a different kind of roar. Because they'd seen him in the red zone package, and obviously, for a game and a half there, the world was Iowa's oyster and running around. And then I love this moment, not just because it's petty college football rivalry and put it in my veins, but also we're the only ones with this shot. Jay Higgins going over to get those handshakes that Nebraska denied before the 2024 game. I think we talked about this in November I'll reiterate again to Cornhuskers in the comments, no, Jay did not tell me he was going to do that. I walked onto the field after Drew Stevens made his kick looking for anybody in a black and gold jersey celebrating, and I saw 34 running across with hand extended, and it wasn't
Which is not normal, right? So you follow it.
Exactly, and it wasn't even until I legitimately thought Jay just like, hey, acknowledging a hard-fought battle and wanted to go say, hey, like, hell of a game, guys. Really, that's what college football wants, and that's a rivalry game right there. And then it's not in the clip there, but he turns around at one point and kind of like fake handshakes me, and he goes, they didn't shake our hands. And I go, oh, I remember now. You're napalming this thing, man. That's not, yeah. And that's like, you know, you talk about who's Iowa's biggest rivalry right now. I think Murph and Andy discussed that earlier on their podcast this week, and I think they came up with Wisconsin, which probably, if you're going by like competitive balance and history and all that, like maybe, but like that moment right there for me is why Nebraska is the number one rivalry right now.
Yeah.
Even though Iowa's won a bunch of games, you know, 2022 went to the Cornhuskers, but from them firing Bo Pelini and saying we had to look at where Iowa was as a program in 2014 to these walk-off field goals to that moment, like I know the rivalry in the Big Ten is like a dozen years old, but man, dude, two fan bases, you know, who hates Iowa? Nebraska hates Iowa, not Minnesota. It's just such a fun rivalry, and that's a moment. You talking about Marshall Meter and his place in one play. Jay Higgins running over like this, that is 20 years from now, people are still going to talk about that moment, and it's really special to me because that's our shot. Yeah. Nobody else has that shot, and it's such a cool thing.
Yeah, and I think Murph and Andy were actually talking about Docterman's like full list. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
He has Wisconsin.
Boy, the internet's got takes on that.
I know, right? As the highest one at like 23.
Nobody else is doing that list but Scott Docterman, so
he said he took like
doing that is awesome.
2 hours per like researching everything.
Such a fun read. I mean, that's Docterman to a T, man. That guy watches film and knows the game and history, and it's so fun.
It is one of those questions, though. I think we had it last year or the year before, where we're talking about the best or who you see as Iowa's biggest rival, and even now, like I think I lean Iowa State, but Wisconsin, but Nebraska, like you said, is just jumping up, and it's like that's the one that I feel is the most important.
It seems like the players still kind of talk about Iowa State, I feel like, as the biggest one, the one that you want the most, but I think Nebraska is not far behind on that list,
Yeah, for sure.
It's fun, and that Cy-Hawk game's going to be fun this year. We're fortunate, CBS 2 and Fox 28. We've got confirmed at least a couple games. We've got the Cy-Hawk game on Fox. We've got the Nebraska game on CBS 2, and possibility of maybe some other ones in there as well. Man, you get those rivalry games, and man, in Ames this year is going to be a lot of fun for sure. Best takes, worst takes. Do we want to rip the Band-Aid off first, or do we want to pump ourselves up a little bit? Do we want to start with best takes or worst takes? No video for these. We'll just do a quick audit of ourselves. Mike, do you want to
do worst. Let's start. I'll start with the worst one. And I had trouble because I think all my takes.
You get it all right, yeah. You just know the
fire takes start to
I went
finish.
last year. We do like before the season we predict like who's going to break out and whatever. My breakout player was John Nestor, who is now no longer with the program and struggled. The one start he did get in there for against Michigan State. So no shade on him. It's just I thought he was going to be. The reason I put it in there is when I talked about it, I thought I think the exact words were like a Cooper level impact on special teams, and then I thought he was going to start at corner because. If you remember last, he was listed as the starter. So and then he didn't start until he came in as a backup role.
Yeah. But. Mine, this didn't have anything to do with like a preseason prediction. I just remember when Cade McNamara got hurt in 2023 and Deacon Hill was going to be the starter. I was like, guys, like Deacon's going to come in and he's going to do something like, he's not going to be an All-American, but like he's got a big arm, he can throw the ball, he's mobile, like he can get around. And like, I mean, the guy's like not even the caliber of a Division I quarterback. Like, let's get real. So it's like that was probably my worst side. I kept thinking like Deacon's going to break through eventually.
Yeah.
He just never did. I mean, again, probably just because we like the guy and he was super nice and very interesting to always to talk to and had a cool background, but it's like the dude could not play ball at Iowa.
Just got thrown into like the most nightmarish situation. Just like, all right, go figure it out, man.
Yeah.
You haven't played meaningful snaps in like 2 years, and he's at Utah Tech now. Missed a bunch of time last year with an injury, but Deacon, we'll always root for him to figure stuff out and have a good year for the I think they're the Trailblazers. Yeah, out there in 2025. Looking back at all these, one of my honorable mention like favorite plays was him with that long touchdown against Purdue to Eric All, where like he needed a throw and like he dropped it in the bucket. And that was such a cool play.
Got one.
I'll always root for Deacon Hill. My worst take, also related to quarterbacks was I was convinced Marco Lainez was going to be the red zone guy after Brendan went on. Like, all right, so you got Jackson Stratton against Maryland. That's fine. Like, he's got the arm. Marco Lainez runs all over the place. He's going to be out there. And then he walks out and he's got a cast the size of his torso on. Marco Lainez probably isn't going to be playing this year, and he's now down at Elon, and we'll see if he can get something going there in 2025 as well. But after all the bad, and I have plenty of worse takes than that probably around there, but that was that's the one that really stuck out that I just didn't have a clue what I was talking about.
Well, I mean, like,
again, various examples of that.
it made sense in theory.
In
We just didn't know the
you
extent
didn't
of
know,
his injury.
what was happening. It made perfect sense. All right, best takes, Mike. What's your crown jewel?
The best take, last season, again, in my preseason predictions, I was like for sure saying KJ was going to be the offensive MVP of the team, which looking back seems like not like a good take, but you remember, like, LaShawn was the one, I think, and I think
Big
Kamari
Ten
was too, because Caleb was in the doghouse to start the season.
Yeah, he was the third on the depth chart.
I just kept, like, the past 2 years when we go to these practices, I'm like, he looks like an NFL running back. I just kept thinking in my head, like, he has size, he's the biggest guy, and he's fast. Like, and you know.
It is funny because we look back on the preseason picks for 2023, and both Mitch and I picked KJ as the offensive MVP for the 23 season, which, like, he did okay, but certainly didn't have what this.
There were stretches where he didn't play. Again, he didn't have
exactly.
a snap at Wrigley.
So, yeah, good call. Mine was, again, for preseason picks last year, I picked for my breakout player to be Jacob Gill, which, like, it's not like he was a All-American, but, like, who would be the breakout player from last year? I mean, he's certainly in the running for the top 3 breakout player on Iowa's roster for sure, so felt good about that one.
Yeah, and excited to see what he does here in 2025. I correctly predicted in the preseason last year that Iowa was going to rush for 2,000 yards. Did I think KJ was going to take the bulk of those? No, I thought it would be a little more spread out, but you had Kamari had some really nice runs, particularly against Maryland, had the long touchdown run and had a couple other really, really nice plays there. Jazz did his stuff too, obviously Brendan getting in there, but Iowa, for the first time since 2016, rushed for 2,000 yards. I don't think they'll rush for 2,000 this year. That's not a knock on the running game. I just think we're going to get back to a little more balance with Mark in there, but we'll save that for maybe later in August, where at some point, we talked about at the beginning of the show, we had a special tease. By the time we get to game week, next month, getting ready for UAlbany, we will no longer be doing these shows in the studio here proper at Broadcast Park. It's been really cool to be in the studio. I feel like it's one of the elements that's kind of separated us, the fact that we are in an actual TV studio and we get to use our studio cameras to do all this. But it doesn't have always that podcast feel. So if you're watching on YouTube, behind this wall and across the hallway, there's a room that now is a lounge. It's been a meeting room before. It's been back when we were redoing this studio and we were doing news in the garage over there at Broadcast Park while this was being renovated. That was where people were doing weather. That room now is going to be a new podcast studio, and we're super, super, super excited to get that thing going. I think we're hopefully only a month out from getting it, but we might still, like when we do a recap of Kids Day scrimmage and things like that, might still be in here. But by the time we get to week 1, game week, getting ready for the Great Danes, the hope is to be in that studio and have a really cool look and feel.
Got a little mock-up if you want to see it.
You got the mock-up if we want to throw that in.
Now, it won't look exactly like this. We've got a 4-prong table, and we might change around the shelves and stuff.
And this is going to be Dupaco's studio, and again, thanks to Dupaco and Pin Seekers for what they're doing. But this will be, it's just such a cool new element to this, and we get to actually have like podcast mics, which seems like a little thing, but you know, I think it'll feel.
Quality will be better.
More relaxed. Quality will be better across the board, and it's
not saying that our quality now isn't great, but I just think with the right equipment, we're using TV broadcast equipment,
which is
not made for podcasts.
It doesn't always fit.
Yeah,
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, me too.
And I really haven't used that room as a lounge a lot.
Not many have.
Yeah.
I see
There's
our
like
producer
a Wii in there and stuff.
I see our producer Tyler Downey in there reading Charles Dickens.
He's always
or whatever, something in there, but that's about the only.
Rest in his hands because he's a hand model.
We put it's either in our actual conference room now, which used to be the sports department when I was first here. That's usually a place for food, or that becomes a place for food. On like election night, we'll have like Carlos O'Kelly's taco bars and stuff like that. But so it's a super cool element, and we're really excited to bring that again. If it's not by the time we start doing season previews, definitely by that first game week. That's that'll be a really big launch of the new era for Eye on the Hawks as we get into year 3. Been really, really cool to do this first. I feel like this kind of came together. Mike was probably a little more familiar with the machinations of how everything got going, but man, like we just kind of hit the ground running, and yeah, you look up and you're 2 years, 120 plus episodes in, and
yeah, the idea started. I was in a leadership class here for our parent company, and I was with some other newsroom managers from around the country, and one from Columbus, Ohio. That was one of his, like, we needed to do a project, and that was his project, creating an Ohio State one. And they actually launched this year with, oh my God, who was it? Bernie Wells? No, that's
Beanie Wells?
Beanie Wells, yes, and another Ohio State player. So they've got a podcast up now and running. I can't remember what it's called, but that was kind of my inspiration. I was like, we could do that. Just us, us three talking about the Hawkeyes. You guys cover them, do great stuff. So that's kind of how it started, and yeah.
Yeah, again, it's been a good opportunity as we get into the season to do those, kind of Hawkeye highlights, more spotlights on players that we can't always do within the confines of a sportscast. Obviously, you can put the full interviews on YouTube as well, but it's been just great to show off these highlights, show off some more narratives and stories, and just really get in depth with stuff. And it's not possible without all you who are listening and watching. We're up to, like 600 followers on Twitter, which is not a small thing. To get that going, we've got some great viewage on these videos and everything, and it's been a lot of fun to do, and has sparked some joy, I think, for us to be able to just kind of flex our creative muscles that way, and hopefully it's done the same for you, whether it's in season or out of season or anything in between. It's just been a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, it's Cardell Jones is with him. I don't know how I can forget that.
12 gauge.
Quarterback who came in and won him a national title 10 years ago.
Man, 12.
The Deacon Hill of Ohio State.
No, man, he was special. That Cardell Jones era was something really, really fun. Yeah, just rolled in and got it done. So we'll get ready for a new studio. Of course, as we told you earlier, we're going to be live streaming the hay bale toss coming up at Soul and Beef Days on Friday. That was super fun last year. Just a cool thing to be able to share. That's become such a talk about folk heroes. Who's the next big, strong offensive lineman. So that'll be really fun to show that off, and we'll see who's going to win the feats of strength coming up on Friday, again, on the Iowa's News Now YouTube channel. So we'll check in. We're only 13 days away from camp starting in Iowa City. July 29th, I believe, is the first day of camp. We're going to have Media Day on the 8th of August, Kids Day on the 9th, so that'll be the scrimmage. So I'm guessing we'll do some sort of preview before, we'll do a recap after, and then we start getting the season previews, folks. I think we're Deontay Craig days away from kickoff, 45 days. It's fun. You're already feeling it. You've played college football 26 a little bit, haven't you?
Yeah, it's kind of broke right now. I feel like it's 10 times harder. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm getting older, but I used to be able to smoke
passing you by
computer on All-American, and I switched it down to like varsity, and like I got beat. I'm a really crappy team to start out. Colorado State, I thought they were going to be good. They're only ranked they're overall at 70th or 70 overall.
That's tough. That's tough to get down there, yeah.
And then I stacked the season with
as your QB.
There you go.
No, it's Brandon something Nikosu.
Well, you know who
Fowler Nikosu.
They're coached by.
Yeah, Norvell.
Jay Norvell.
Yeah, so.
You know who their basketball team's coached by?
Ali Farouk-Manesh.
And you know whose parents went there?
I don't.
Me.
Yeah. Oh,
Nice. At Colorado State.
They're a Ram. Huh?
Okay.
Rams.
That's cool.
Yeah. Sigma
So-
Nu, my dad.
Beautiful.
And then the road to glory, man. Oh my gosh, it's so tough. I just need to play online because I bet there's some guys that are just as bad as me.
All right. We'll work on that.
Time to
First,
hang it up.
he's got to do Ragbri first, but it's gonna be fun, man. Yeah, we're excited for everything Hawkeyes coming up this fall. Basketball, football, everything in between. It's going to be a really fun stretch. So, as always, just keep an eye on the Iowa's News Now YouTube channel. We'll have that live stream for the hay bale toss coming up later this week. And, man, we'll start getting ready to hit the ground running come August, because 13 days out, Joe Evans days away from camp starting, and 2025 season will be here soon. So we're excited to have you along for year 3 on Eye on the Hawks. Thanks for walking down memory lane with us today on this Wednesday. Keep subscribing, keep supporting, and we'll catch you next time. From Mike and Owen, I'm Mitch. Catch you on the next edition of Eye on the Hawks.